Number 10. Rihanna. If you've ever felt the urge to grab someone's clothes, especially a performer without their consent, allow me to inform you why that may be a bad idea. Rihanna is known for many things around the world, mainly her ability to sing and dance, but what many people should know is that she is a Jedi with a microphone. During a concert in 2013 as part of her Diamonds World Tour, a fan at her Birmingham concert decided that she couldn't contain her excitement when Rihanna stepped into the crowd to greet fans while performing her hit single, We Found Love. As she made her way through the crowd, the fan in question reached over her bodyguards and got a grip of her elbow sleeve and started tugging at it. Rihanna was having none of that. She turned to the fan, bopped her on the head with the microphone, and walked back on stage. Apparently calm the entire time, just like, no. Following the slew of anger she received for what many consider to be an overreaction, she claimed that the whole thing was an accident. Yes, because swinging a 5-pound microphone at someone's head happens all the time, right? Number 9. Pitbull. In 2009, a fan made it rain on Pitbull during a concert and he did not have an umbrella. The famous singer was performing at a concert in Colorado when he invites a fan up on stage. The fan was clearly under the influence of something when he was brought up and apparently took the opportunity to make Pitbull look like a fool. The fan whipped out a large wad of crisp dollar bills and fanned them over Pitbull. While it may have been funny at the time, Pitbull was not having any fun at all. After the fans started throwing the money at him, literally comparing him to a dancer of the night, Pitbull understandably told the man to stop before something bad happens. He told him just stop making it rain, to which the man went, "Let's make it pour, baby!" When he didn't stop, Pitbull punched him in the face hard. The man got knocked down, security took him away, and Pitt just kept rapping. He told the crowd that he was a nice guy during the next break to ease the tension, all the while there was some guy gargling his teeth in a hospital gurney. Number 8. Shia LaBeouf. In 2017, Shia LaBeouf had already began making a name for himself as a little bit of a crazy guy, thanks to both his antics on set and his actions beyond the screen. Get it? That's the name of the channel. In 2017, an online art exhibition created by Shia was shut down by a museum in Queens. The exhibition was intended as a rebuke to Donald Trump's presidency. The exhibit hinged on a video camera mounted onto the outside of the Museum of Moving Images in Astoria, Queens. While people were walking by, they were encouraged to participate in the art exhibit by repeating the phrase "He will not divide us" into the camera. This was a 24/7 stream that was supposed to send a message to Donnie, but it instead showed the world just how good of a fighter that Shia was. Shia had made a few appearances on the piece, and at one point a man claiming himself to be something that I can't say online, but it rhymes with Yahtzee, approached Shia and began spewing his toxic garbage right into his face. And that's when Shia decked the man and knocked him down. Now, I don't condone violence in any way, but that was fun to watch. Unfortunately, the incident had Shia arrested, and it's still illegal to fight a stranger no matter how much you want to. While this dude was definitely not a fan, it deserves to be mentioned that a supremacist got his teeth caved in by Louis Stevens. So, good job. Number 7. Justin Bieber. Where do we even begin with this man? The one-time singer has had a long history of negative interactions with fans since the first recorded incident in 2010. Justin was doing a concert in Toronto. While staying at his hotel, a large crew of fans began to culminate outside of the building. He took the opportunity to walk out onto his balcony and spit on his fans. Over and over, just dropping loogie after loogie. At the time, his representatives denied that the footage was authentic, claiming that TMZ had superimposed a crowd near Justin to make it appear that he was spitting on people. Not only did TMZ prove that that wasn't true, the multiple cell cameras that captured the event just further proved his guilt. Since then, he's been in the news for reckless driving, public intoxication, he bought a monkey and abandoned it at a zoo, and in most recent years, he was on a vacation in Mexico when he started mooning tourists that were visiting the historic Mayan ruins. Several fans were counted attempting to interact with Bieber, who refused not only to speak to anyone, but he actually started mooning them for asking. This all came to a head when he announced on Instagram that he would no longer be taking pictures with fans, claiming that the experience always felt dehumanizing. Oh well, no one wants to take a picture with you anyway, Justin. You spit on people. Spit's not fun. Number 6. Tobey Maguire. The paparazzi aren't always grimy little gnomes trying to make a quick buck. Sometimes they're just fans who want a photo op with their favorite actor in the world. After 2003, that actor for a lot of people was Tobey Maguire, thanks to the massive success of his performance as Peter Parker in what many call the first live-action Spider-Man movie, but they apparently forgot about the 1978 Japanese version which is That's fair. That's very fair. It's a bad movie. Sam Raimi's trilogy made Toby a staple in the world of nerd culture, trying to blend into a crowd of paparazzi to snap a pic with Spidey. Well, Toby can. In a video released in 2012, Toby is seen trying to make his way through a crowd of paparazzi. He honks his horn over and over, trying to get them out of his way, but his screams are muffled by the clicks of cameras and some dude yelling his name like, "Toby!" Toby covers his face, but is forced to open his window and yell at the man in his way. One cameraman was just a little bit too close to the car though, and Toby swung the door wide open, knocking him down and his camera back with him. Toby drove away, but reportedly that fall caused a crack in the lens, and the paparazzi chameleon never got his photo op with Spidey. Luckily there's like 30 people dressed as Spider-Man on the streets of LA, so I don't know, find all 30 and collect them all. Number 5. Kevin Gates. The famous rapper known around the world, Kevin Gates was forced to do a little bit of jail time following an incident on stage at a concert in 2015. Gates was performing at a club in Florida when a woman reached for him in the front row. Now, anybody reaching at anyone that you don't know is jarring enough, but being in the middle of a concert, his ninja mode kicked in. During a video released to TMZ, a woman is seen simply trying to just grab his leg in excitement like, "Oh my god, I love you!" And his response to that light squeeze was a crane kick to the nose. He just whips his leg towards this lady with full force. The woman he kicked is seen confused and in pain before she starts making her way through the crowd and out of the venue. Apparently nobody saw or cared what happened because moments later the crowd cheers him onto the stage. Not long after that though, charges were filed by the former fan, and Kevin was forced to spend 180 days in Polk County Jail. He was eventually released but was forced to wear a brace on his knee that prevents him from ever kicking someone ever again. Okay, that last part is made up, but that would be very funny. Just like, "Come on, Kevin, come get me." And he... Number 4. Lindsay Lohan. The Parent Trap star got herself trapped in a sticky situation that left her looking like a mean girl. Get it? In 2012, Lindsay was chilling in the VIP section of Club Avenue in New York City when she was approached by a woman named Tiffany Ava Mitchell. Mitchell is a psychic from Palm Beach, Florida, who, according to Extra TV, has been having premonitions about people since the age of 10. She saw Lindsay from across the room and just felt inclined to tell her about the future. Lindsay was neither amused nor interested in what this woman had to say and dismissed her immediately. Oddly enough though, her premonition was super negative. Apparently Lindsay was in for a rough few years, but that never happened. That never happened, right? That never happened, right, Lindsay? Right, Lindsay's parole officer? That never happened. She reportedly got furious with Tiffany and actually punched her in the face while calling her a gypsy woman. She was charged with third-degree swatting. While she was able to see that Lohan was headed for a rocky road, apparently Tiffany did not see that a little tiny fist on Lindsay's arm was coming towards her face. Number 3. Ron Artest. In 2004, while playing for the Indiana Pacers, forward Ron Artest became very heated during a game, to the point that he jumped over the scorer's table during a regular season away game. According to Artest, during that game, a fan had been throwing drinks at him. The crowd was so riled up from the game that they forgot that the players were not only real people, they were real tall and strong people. During a break in the game, Artest just lost it. He crawled over a score table, ran into the stands, and began punching the ever-loving life out of this man. Physical violence is never the answer to a situation, especially one in which your career could be cancelled, which is kinda what happened. While his teammates were very much on his side and defended his actions, the situation forced Ron to forfeit over $10 million in paychecks, and 146 games were lost to suspension. The incident is still considered to be one of the most violent altercations in the NBA history, but Ron did make a return to basketball and retired in 2017, now free to spend his days throwing drinks at anybody he wants. Number 2. Akon. Anyone who has ever done stand-up comedy knows just how badly you want to punch a heckler. Like, hecklers are the worst. They just come in, they ruin the show for everyone, and they think they are the stars. In Akon's case, he did the thing that we have always wanted to do and showed his heckler exactly what happens when you mess with the talent. While performing at an outdoor concert in Fishkill, New York, Akon responded to an obnoxious teen fan in the crowd who had thrown something on stage. He responded by removing his shirt, inviting the fan on stage, lifting him over his shoulders and literally throwing him into the audience like John Cena dropping the attitude adjustment. While the fan was caught by the crowd and no harm was done, Akon was forced to appear a year later in a Fishkill courthouse to plead guilty to reduced charges brought on by the family of the young fan. Fan actually met Akon outside of the courthouse and the two cleared up the situation, but the fan's father wanted this man to pay. And that's what he did, paid $350 to be specific, and he was forced to serve 65 hours of community service. The money was just a gesture, clearly, because he's worth over $80 million. Thankfully, the parents didn't seem to know that, or else this might have ended very differently. Number 1, Will Smith. Yes, Will Smith is on the list of people that hit their fans, but no, it is not for what happened at the Oscars, I promise. Apparently, Will has been swatting and slapping for a long time now. To his credit, he was able to hold back a lot, considering the circumstances. In 2012, during the red carpet premiere of Men in Black 3, Will was taking interviews left and right. One man, named Vitaly Sediuk, a Ukrainian prank star, pretended to be a journalist and began interviewing Will. And I do apologize if I got his name wrong, but at the end of this you probably won't care. While the interview itself is pure gibberish on Vitaly's part, the situation quickly took a turn when he tries to embrace Will in a hug. At first, Will plays along with it and everything is fine, but then Vitaly goes in for a kiss. Smith's instinct kicked in and he threw Vitaly back away from himself. He then asked, "Hey, what's the problem here, man?" and then backhanded him as the crowd roared. In 2012, he was being cheered for smacking someone, and then 10 years later, he was cancelled for doing the exact same thing to Chris Rock. Except Rock was just doing his job in that case. This guy was being an absolute jerk and deserved all the backhands that Will was capable of. Number 10. Megan Fox. Megan has been featured in several films over the years, but it was an interview about her time working with Michael Bay on the set of the Transformers movies that cancelled her career for good. The original live-action Transformers movie came out in 2007 and co-starred Megan and Shia LaBeouf in the leading roles. It was a fun movie on screen, but behind the scenes there was a ton of tension on set. According to Megan, who had previously worked with Michael on Bad Boys 2, working for Michael was like working for Schmittler. Fun fact, if you add sh to someone's name, you can say it online. Loophole. Of course, Michael didn't appreciate being compared to, you know, one of the worst men in human history, so many speculated that her being left out of third Transformers movie may have had something to do with behind-the-scenes drama. She went on to call him bland and claimed that he had no personality or social skills of any kind. Like, hey Megan, that's just a little bit harsh. It's a little personal. When the comments were made public, her career began to slowly suffer. Not only was she written out of the Transformers series, but she was forced to make a public apology and actually retract her statements following the massive slew of backlash from fans. She took a few years off, but Michael himself later acknowledged the misstep on Megan's part and not only accepted the retraction, but the pair were able to patch things up and work together on the live-action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies from 2014. Yay! Number 9. Cara Delevingne. Cara is a gifted actor and overall seems like a solid human being. So much like the rest of us, she gets tired and annoyed from time to time. Unfortunately, that feeling took place on live TV while promoting her new movie, Paper Towns. While making an appearance on the early morning show, Good Day Sacramento, the interview did not get off to a great start. The program's anchor called her Carla, and she then spent the next few minutes trying to get info out of Cara, but was failing miserably. Falling deep into the anchor role, she pulled out the old, "Hey, wow, that's amazing. Hey, listen, Carla, did you read the book that this thing's based on, or did you even have time to read because you're so busy?" She was having none of that. She was very sarcastic with each answer to the fairly generic questions. Do you relate to the character? What was your favorite moment? Blah, blah, blah. It was then that a third anchor abruptly popped in and asked Cara if she was exhausted, as she seemed a bit more excited to speak about the project a few weeks prior in London. She giggled and said, "No, I'm fine." Apparently, the premiere of the film was the night before, which she claimed to feel like the end of an era. But the anchors do not know when to quit. In fact, one of the anchors then suggested that she may be irritated, or maybe it was just them. They then cut the interview short and told her to take a nap and get a Red Bull. She can be heard saying, "Oh my god, too far," before the news anchor screeches over her and shuts her down. According to Cara, there was really no bad blood. She was just sick of answering the same questions over and over again. Following the interview, the man who popped up and gave his 2 cents was fired for causing such a tense situation on live TV. Number 8. Mike Tyson. Now, I had trouble landing on just one interview to mention when it comes to Mike. He's someone who seems to bounce back even after the most heinous of controversies, so we're just gonna run down through a few good ones. The first time Mike really hurt his career was in the late 80s, and it wasn't even something that he said. He was doing an interview with his then girlfriend Robin Gibbs when the topic of Mike's behavior came up. She said herself that Mike had an extremely volatile temper, and recently reports had surfaced of Mike getting loud and physical with her, something she seemingly confirmed while Mike was was just staring the interviewer down the entire time. Very intense. That was the first little notch on his belt, but as the years went by, more and more controversy came to light. During a press tour for his latest bout in the early 2000s, he lashed out at a fan in the crowd, hurling a slew of insults at him and calling them the British word for cancer sticks. It starts with an F and it rhymes with maggot. The clip became viral overnight and placed his career even further into jeopardy than it already was. But he finally drove the nail into the coffin on CP24 breakfast television in 2014. After somehow maintaining enough relevance to get a one-man show, Mike was sitting down with host Nathan Downer to promote when the interview took a hard left and went from, "So, what's the show about?" to, "So, should you even be allowed on stage, you monster?" That's not what he actually said, but that's what Mike heard. He stopped answering the questions honestly and he would instead hurl insults sarcastically. The F word is once again his favorite. I don't know if you've noticed, but Mike hasn't been on the news much since that day, and for very good reasons. Number 7. Rachel Zegler. Rachel Zegler's comments about the upcoming live-action Snow White remake could have a huge impact on ticket sales, according to branding experts. The 22-year-old actress has received plenty of backlash after she admitted that she hated the original 1937 movie and branded the storyline weird, while referring to the Prince character as just a straight-up stalker. The backlash occurred after several videos of Rachel speaking negatively about the original film in various interviews last year resurfaced online, where she talked about her version of the character. She said she's not going to be saved by the prince and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. While Disney may just be trying to modernize the classic, the comments were causing her to be labeled a fake feminist, with some critics accusing Rachel of gaslighting, and one marketing consultant has warned that Disney will need to be careful on how they have portrayed Snow White. Snow White has already been suffering from backlash well before Rachel made her comments. Peter Dinklage spoke out about Disney not using dwarf actors for the new film, instead opting to use heavy CGI on Hollywood elites. Rachel's role as Snow White is currently up in the air, because while the film is set to be released in March of next year, the writer's strike may be the exact situation that the studio needs to recast and rewrite its oldest character. Number 6. Liam Neeson. Liam may have spent a long time as a dramatic action star, but his most dramatic moment yet came during an interview published by The Independent. He was promoting his new film, Cold Pursuit, which follows his character seeking retribution after his son is slain. When he was asked how his character turns to anger, he replied by telling them something primal kicks in when someone close to you is a victim of violence. He then shared a true story about a close friend of his admitting to a physical altercation with another man a few years prior. When he heard the news, he said something took over him. When he asked her if she knew what his name was, she said no, but she knew what color his skin was. After using some very offensive language to describe this man, Liam then admitted to spending the next week carrying around a small baton and praying that, quote, a random black man would cross his path. The article began circulating fast and Liam received a tidal wave of backlash. Since 2019, he has starred in a few films, but nothing as high budget or universally liked as his previous roles. Number 5. Katherine Heigl. Kathy was riding high back in 2007. The former Grey's Anatomy star not only won an Emmy for Best Supporting Actress in a Dramatic Series, but she also began transitioning into the big screen with the success of her first feature comedy, Knocked Up, alongside comedy legend Seth Rogen. Unfortunately, her rise to the top quickly became a free fall into a volcano following an ill-fated Vanity Fair interview the following January. In the interview, Katherine made a move that still has people scratching their heads to this day. She openly bashed the film that made her famous, claiming that it painted women as shrew, humorless, and uptight, while also placing blame on Seth for writing the men as lovable, goofy, fun guys. The film still sits at an impressive 89% on Rotten Tomatoes because while she may claim that the project was problematic, the final product was a fun love story filled with some pretty solid jokes and performances and a great story. Seth felt betrayed by the comments as they never had a fight on set and it never seemed like she was uncomfortable at any point. These comments, combined with some negativity towards her Grey's Anatomy writers, caused her agents to drop her as a client and her time in Hollywood slowly came to a halt. These days she stars in the CBS comedy Our House, but it's looking like she may never return to the big screen. Number 4. Brie Larson. Brie was announced as the newest member of the Marvel Universe in 2019, starring in the film Captain Marvel as the titular superhero. superhero. At first, people were pretty excited to see what Marvel would do with this property. Captain Marvel is, after all, one of the original cosmic heroes in comic book canon, and I know I'm a nerd, leave me alone. However, when the movie was actually released, fans were pretty upset with Brie's performance. According to them, she was stale and seemed bored from start to finish. When asked about the online hate at the D23 red carpet in 2022, Brie said she's not sure if she's going to continue to play the character beyond her upcoming Captain Marvel sequel, The Marvels. She's aware of all the hate surrounding her character and defends that role by telling people that's how she was told to play the role. But it's also Brie Larson. She's always been stiff, but that's kind of part of why it's funny. Go watch Scott Pilgrim, you ninnies! Overall, she doesn't sound as terrible as some of the other entries on this list, but the way she has responded to interviewers in the past has pegged her as a Miss Marvel meanie. Number 3. Paula Abdul. In 2012, famous judge and British bad boy Simon Cowell decided to fire his fellow X Factor judge after she went on Fox News and made herself sound just a little bit like a fool. During an interview with Q13, things start out a little rocky thanks to some audio issues causing Paula to hear a station in Texas instead of the one that she was trying to talk to. When they eventually got everything up and running, Paula was just as confusing as she was with the original audio issue. The interviewers were trying to ask her about her visit to Seattle, where Simon claimed that the worst singers he has ever encountered dwell. But instead of defending the city, Paula doubled down and agreed with Simon. But it's not the statement though that landed her in the hot seat, it was the way she was speaking. Paula had always been a little bit animated in her life, using her arms a lot when speaking to people, but she was particularly slurry and she seemed like she was under the influence of something. This was just one of several interviews where Paula was noticeably woozy. Simon's actually claimed that the only reason she was invited to host on the X Factor in the first place was to see that if she would bring in the American Idol viewers. When that didn't pan out, he realized that the right move to make was just to let her go and move on to greener pastures. Of course, Paula was mad about this and confronted Simon several times, only digging herself further and further into that hole. Number 2. Tom Cruise. Matt Lauer is not just a terrible man who turned out to be a creepy creepo. He was once a popular talk show host in the early 2000s. During an interview with Tom Cruise in 2005, the topic of his scientific beliefs came up that quickly sent Tom into a rant about psychiatry. Somehow the topic got into Ritalin and pseudosciences. I don't know. Tom yelled at Matt about knowing more than him about psychiatry. Like he had some inside information that he was secretly a therapist or something. The interview came at the height of Tom's very public descent into chaotic badness, becoming very famous for his outlandish beliefs and his wish to push them onto other people. The highlight of the interview came when Cruise was asked about his previous criticism of Brooke Shields taking anti-sad time pills, to which he responded by calling her a glib. And I looked up the definition. That means fluent and voluble, but insecure and shallow. This was only one of several interviews from 2005 that we could discuss today. When he was with Katie Holmes, he was a bit of a nutcase. Just ask Oprah Winfrey. Ever since the mid-2000s, Tom's career has been mainly in the Mission Impossible movies, with only a few small roles to fill the gaps here and there. Not the Hollywood superstar that he was aiming to be. And at number 1, Lance Armstrong. 7-time Tour de France winner Lance Armstrong has gone down in history as a man who was unable to ride a bike without his chemical training wheels. In an interview with Oprah Winfrey in 2013, Lance was brought on to discuss the allegations floating around regarding his status as a Tour de France winner. Several sources claimed that Lance had taken performance-enhancing substances to win each of his races, as well as a type of transfusion involving the red life juice that flows inside all of us. Armstrong went on air and fessed up to every single thing that they were claiming he had done. However, he did deny the notion that he was some kind of a mastermind who would control his teammates and force them to join in his extracurricular activities. But amidst his admission of guilt, say that 10 times fast, there was a moment where he tried to pin the situation on his battle with cancer. He wraps it up by saying that he should have tried harder to cancel the culture rather than create more of a problem. He was stripped of all 7 Tour de France titles, and he has since lived in exile among the cycling world.
Coming in at number 10 today, we have Katy Perry. Have you seen all the drama surrounding Katy Perry and American Idol? Well, if you haven't, let me get you caught up. So recently, a 25-year-old mom who was bullied by Katy Perry on American Idol decided to quit the show while on stage in tears. when Sarah Beth Libby first appeared in front of the judges to perform You Know I'm No Good by Amy Winehouse, many viewers criticized Katy Perry in the comments she made during Sarah's audition. Sarah would later open up in a TikTok video in which she described the incident as being hurtful and embarrassing by saying there was a joke that was made that's gotten so much attention, and she then went on to say, "At the start of my audition, before I sang, I mentioned that I had 3 children and I was a young mother, and Katy Perry made a joke that wasn't super kind. Now the mom of 3 has decided to call it quits, and it's not for the reason you might assume. In an episode of the singing contest, she sang Roxanne by the Police before suddenly quitting and telling the judges after finishing her song, the opportunity is really rad, but this is actually going to be my last performance because my heart's at home. So I'm going to get home to my babies, thank you." With Sarah returning to the stage, Katy Perry would then beg the contestants not to leave, but Sarah stood her ground and left the show. And now we're all wondering if Katy Perry might be replaced as a judge on the show. Number 9. Justin Bieber. Well, we all know Justin Bieber is all about his personal space, and in 2017, he would show his fans that they probably shouldn't approach him and ask him for a selfie or an autograph. While Justin was in Australia for a leg of his world tour, he was approached by a female fan looking to take a selfie on the street, but instead, she would be left in tears. During the encounter, which was filmed and shared on the internet, the singer rebuffed her request by telling her, "Look at your respect level, look at you, you make me sick." In one swift move, he then took some bite of his food that he was holding and got into his car. His Melbourne fan then recalled during an interview on Nova 969, "I took the photo anyways because I thought, when am I ever going to have this moment in my life?" Well, Justin went on to receive some major backlash for how he handled the situation. In a brief dispute, the star seemed to go into digital damage control, uploading more photos of himself welcoming his fans, including a throwback photo of him shaking hands with a young girl on the beach. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you never have to miss out on what we might just cover next. Coming back to our list, in the number 8 spot today we have Jennifer Lawrence. Did you know Jennifer Lawrence once made a grown man cry in a bar before? Well, apparently she did, and she even talked about the incident when she appeared on the popular chat show Late Night with Seth Meyers. When Jennifer was in the capital of Hungary for the shooting of Red Sparrow, when she ventured into the bar on a night with some friends, she would be drinking with her company when a fan approached the group and asked Jennifer to take a selfie with him. When the actress declined to take a photo with him, he apparently kept on insisting, to the point Jennifer and her friends had to ask him to leave them alone. Things quickly then took a sharp turn after the man got agitated and said "F you" to Lawrence, which then riled up the star, and she snapped, and she then grabbed her fan, threw a drink in his face, then poured it all over his suitcase, and after her friends stopped her from doing anything else so insane, she then noticed her fan was in tears. Number 7. Miley Cyrus. So Kendall Jenner has been a fan of Miley Cyrus for a while now, so it probably didn't sit so well with the model after Miley Cyrus recently called her out on her mean girl behavior. So at the height of Selena Gomez and Hailey Bieber's ongoing feud, after it was revealed that Kendall Jenner helped Hailey Bieber make fun of Selena Gomez in a video, news would shortly start to circulate online that Miley made Kendall cry at the Versace fashion show in Los Angeles. Apparently, like the rest of us, she didn't like the way Kendall and her buddy Hailey were being mean girls towards Selena, and she wanted to call them out on it. So no one really knows what Miley said or didn't say to the model, but not long after the rumor went viral, Selena then posted a selfie and tagged Miley and captioned the picture by saying "Violent Chemistry," which is a song from Miley's new album, and fans immediately started to suspect the post was connected to Kendall's and Miley's confrontation. Number 6. Tobey Maguire. Tobey Maguire isn't your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and yes, he did play Spider-Man, but that doesn't mean his nice on-screen persona can be found behind the scene, as apparently the star isn't as nice as he seems, especially when it comes to his fans. With there being several reports of the star displaying in some pretty odd behavior when it comes to interacting with any of his fans, he once took things a little too far. When Tobey was walking back to his hotel in Paris, a fan walking right beside him held out a camera in front of the star to snap a picture of his face. Looking annoyed, Tobey then out of nowhere slapped his fan's hand, which caused him to drop his camera, and it shattered on the sidewalk. So as Tobey continued to walk away with his entourage, his fan would be left in tears. Number 5. Nicki Minaj. Nicki Minaj seriously caused some major chaos in 2022 when she had to cancel her meet and greet in London on the spot. When the rapper was arranging to meet her fans at a venue in Camden in midday, the event quickly spiraled out of control after thousands of fans showed up. When Nicki eventually appeared hours hours later than what was originally scheduled, she was mobbed by the crowd and even had to be escorted back to her SUV before speeding away. In a since deleted TikTok video from the chaotic scene, it would show Nicki pushing a fan while she was attempting to make her way through the crowd to the venue on foot. Despite fans ignoring Nicki's pleas to form an orderly fashion line outside of the venue, Nicki would make the decision to cancel her meet and greet, and then the police would issue a statement saying it was shut down by the event managers due to safety concerns. And as Nicki drove off, fans started to cry and chase her car down the street. Number 4. Britney Spears. Back in November 2022, Alexa Nicholas would recall a time Jamie Lynn Spears had her older sister Britney Spears yell at the actor on set to the point she became a crying mess as she recalled all the trauma she had to deal with while working on the Nickelodeon set. During the podcast, Alexa recounted that a talent coordinator told her mom he was taking her to get her hair and makeup done, but instead he brought the preteen to talk with Britney. At first, Alexa was excited because she was a huge fan. She thought Britney was just going to help her and Jamie Lynn work through their problems. But after going into Jamie Lynn's trailer, Britney started yelling at her as Jamie Lynn hid in the back room. While Britney has come out to apologize to the star, Alexa would acknowledge how she was a crying mess and that the show's creator even had to give her a DVD player in order to get her to stop crying so she could finish filming. With Jamie's bullying only getting worse as the set carried on, no one really cared for Alexa since it was called Zoe 101 and not Nicole 101, but I think we can all agree Nicole 101 would have been a great show. Number 3. Lea Michele. When Haley Steinfeld was 14 years old, she was auditioning for True Grit on the Paramount lot. And while she was getting ready to leave, she ran into Lea Michele, who was filming Glee. When Haley walked up to the actress and asked her for an autograph, things quickly took a sharp turn after Lea ignored her and continued to walk by the young actress. A guy then came out of nowhere and told Haley it just wasn't a good time. So as Haley walked back to her car wearing an uncomfortable outfit from the 1800s, she would go on to cry the whole way home. Because she was really upset at the person who's been a main inspiration for her own acting work was so rude to her. At the end of the day, I think we can all agree Lea should have at least greeted Haley and told her it wasn't a good time herself instead of storming off. Number 2. Jennifer Lopez. Back in 2014, Jennifer Lopez would be left cringing after one of her superfans dissolved into tears after being rejected on American Idol. With no content with attempting to win Idol, bubbly Ronald Reed was out on a mission to end poverty by trying to make the world a better place. However, when Ronald caught sight of Lopez, he then sat down to share a tuneless ballad, which sent the judges, including Jennifer, squirming in their seats. To the point Jennifer even told him that his voice wasn't strong enough. Keith Urban then had to take over and tell Ronald that he was really sweet, as Reed searched desperately for his mojo after being belittled by Jennifer, as she made fun of his lack of melody. Reed would then be sent home, while 33 other hopefuls made it through to the next round. And coming in at number 1 on our list today, we have Demi Lovato. Back in 2016, Demi Lovato would come to learn about how she crushed one of her younger fans after she canceled her concert. With Isabella Miklos being 10 at the time, she was looking forward to seeing Demi Lovato perform with Nick Jonas in Virginia Beach. After her family pulled their money together to buy her the tickets for Christmas as a reward for her excellent grades at school, when she found out the concert was canceled due to a scheduling conflict, Isabella would be left feeling utterly devastated. In frustration over her child's unhappiness, Isabella's mother then took to her Facebook to share the images of her daughter looking excited on Christmas Eve when she was given the tickets, to crying in the car after learning it was canceled. With Demi canceling her concert just for the opportunity to be on TV, it upset a lot of fans, which is strange since the pop star has always been the one of those few artists which uses her platform to preach about empowerment, and she has so much pride in her work that she's always considered her fans to be her top priority. But then when she canceled her concert to be on TV and said it was a scheduling conflict, it was really just a sad excuse.